What is good, everybody? What is good? Welcome, welcome, welcome. We've been getting it in the chat already, so we've been getting it going and having a good conversation. For the folks that are online already, welcome, welcome, welcome. Those who are yet to come, welcome, and those who are going to watch this after Friday. Welcome to Free Show Friday. I'm your host, Gary B. Jr., and we're going to dive in today with what we always like to do, at least, is some beginner level, intermediate level, and some advanced level tips, along with time for just Q&A, where we can actually get to hear some of the challenges and ways that we can help figure out solutions. But before we get started with all that, I like to do a review. So let's go ahead and do a review of what happened this past week, at least on my channel. And I got some thoughts too of other people's channels actually, which is kind of fun. So let me pull up my stuff here. And if I go to my YouTube channel, let me pull it up just a second. We came out with a couple of videos this week. And here they are here. So what we talked about was creating gradients. This was a big one. I really liked this gradient option that we have in Free Show now. It is really sweet. It's something that in the past you had to do like some CSS coding or something like that, which is fine, I guess. I don't know anything about CSS coding, so I never did it. But that was that. And then also one long video. It was super long. I say forgive me, but hopefully it was helpful. It was all about actions being your best friend when it comes to using Free Show. So the reason I say actions are your best friend is because Free Show is a robust program, right? It is not it's not something to take lightly when it comes to diving into it. So I really appreciate the community that we have. We really take it seriously to say, okay, I want to understand how to make this work and get comfortable with it, and then knowing that you can use it with some confidence. And so my goal with Free Show Friday is really to address questions or concerns that you all have that make you not so confident with Free Show, right? And that may be because of the program you're coming from prior to this, and or just not having the time or the hands-on to really play with things the way you want to. So you got questions about it or hesitant to do it, and you want to see how to make it work first. And I'm hopefully able to broaden those horizons and give some feedback. So the gradients and the actions were all that came out with the actions video alone. It was probably a combination of probably 5 videos in one in terms of the length of time. It was over an hour long. So hopefully you get time to check those out. They go in depth, okay, of how to do it. The actions piece, we're going to talk about that today, right? We tried to talk about it last time on Free Show Friday, and we got to touch a little bit of the surface. Today we're going to dive in a little bit more to, like I said, just to solidify, right? So repetition is going to be our best friend when it comes to understanding new things. So forgive me if you don't like to hear things repetitively, but at the same time, I want you to, if you're using a computer to watch this, go to your Free Show and start playing around with it real time, right? So if you got two screens, put the live stream on one screen, and then put Free Show on the other, and really start walking along with me, right? Seeing if you can make this work and customizing your own ideas for it, and then ask the question real time while you're in the middle of it. So that would be really cool. As for the gradients, there's two things to take away from the gradients video. One of them is how to create a gradient on the fly in a slide, which is really helpful, or even in a overlay or something like that is where I like to use them. And by the way, the gradient that you see down below on my segment topics that was voted on, I actually agreed. I actually had it planned to use this dark gray one already, but I put out a poll to ask which one do you all think would be best, and everybody agreed to the dark gray. I say everybody, it was pretty far and away the winner. Let's see here. Yeah, 59% said dark gray. So that was pretty cool. Thank you guys that got to engage with it. If you have not, feel free to check it out. And I look kind of suspect in that a little bit, but what I did was I tried to show that I wanted to show different versions of these topics down below. So a dark gray, a light blue, or a dark blue, I'm sorry, and then a dark gray, and then a light blue. And almost 60% said the dark gray, which is what I thought as well. Personally, that was my favorite as well. So with that being said, let me check the chat real quick. Let's see. And David says slides not advancing or showing text. And we were talking. So me and David were talking about his transition to using free show. Just kind of he's transitioning, like intermingling it into the service, and learning a lot about it. He's been following along for some time and getting a grasp of how it works. But he said his Windows computer is giving him some challenges where the slides are not advancing. David, what are you using to advance the slides? Are you using the arrow keys, or are you using a mouse, or what is it? What is it that you want it to do? Do you want it to automatically advance? I'm curious. Um, and then we got Jules Ian, and Jules is from. Let me make sure I got this right. Montreal, Quebec, in Canada. I love it. I love it. Let's see here. So Jules is saying, uh, why free show and pro presenter are promote only for church? Oh, that's a good one. I do not actually recommend using free show only for church, but the heart behind it getting started, it was the founder actually started using it because he actually used ProPresenter, right? So he was using ProPresenter. He went on a camping trip, um, or went to a camp, a youth camp, not a camping trip, but a youth camp. Might have been a week long, I'm not sure, but he was asked to help with the media support, and he didn't have a way to use ProPresenter where he was at because of the licensing thing, or the chairs. I'm not sure how they call it, but so he tried to use another program, and it wasn't as easy as he would have liked, or as flexible as he liked. So he ended up designing his own program that would allow him to take it on the go where you don't have to pay for it, right? So his idea was really, to me, I look at it as he wanted to create a program or system that was just as robust as free as a pro presenter, but without the fees. And so he made an open source program that we call Free Show Now. That, like Pro Presenter, people use Pro Presenter for all kinds of corporate events and things like that. Schools probably use it. People will use it probably for podcasting, for TV shows. In terms of like, for me at least, I'm a videographer as a part of my background. So I've done a lot of promotional videos, and I'm working on a documentary now. That's a whole nother thing. I got to figure out, do I need to start a whole new channel for that or what? Because I don't want to intermingle and confuse the audience of people using free show and showing some documentary. But what I tend to use free show for is this, like for live streaming. I support a lot of churches as a media consultant as well. So I do a lot of live streaming support for them remotely, but I also love the idea of using it in schools, right? So using it for a scoreboard. It's a really easy way to use a scoreboard and live stream it, where you can see the game and you can see the scoreboard at the bottom that you customize and create, and you can change the score really easily. It's a replacement for a lot of different things. Like YOLO Box, to me, was my go-to. And I believe Free Show has overtaken the simplicity of YOLO Box for me. The only downside with Free Show is that I can't plug in multiple cameras to it. So I got to bring another piece of equipment with my computer. Whereas with YOLO Box puts the computer and the ATEM Mini together, right? To where you can plug in multiple cameras. Whereas with one computer and a capture card and a camera, I can do more, just as much, if not more, probably more than I can on the YOLO Box, just because I got much more flexibility with Free Show to do all kinds of stuff. And one of those cool things is the actions, which is what we're going to talk about today. All right. Yeah, more tips for sure. Are you using Free Show right now? I always use Free Show for my live stream. I say always. Let me put it this way. I started out using YOLO Box, and now I'm using Free Show, and I've been using Free Show probably for the last 2 months, probably 3 months, 2.5 months or something like that. I switched over, and I can't even remember. I can't remember why. I think it was more of a HDMI issue where I couldn't consistently use my HDMI the way I wanted to in my office here with my YOLO Box and my screen here. So I was like, okay, let me just get rid of the YOLO Box and just stream everything through OBS and Free Show. So I use OBS to connect to YouTube, and I use Free Show and Bit Focus Companion to control everything. So I can, at the click of a button, I can change uh, my piece down there, my topic, by using my iPad, and it's just got buttons on it that I use, and so I can literally change that at the tap of a button. I can change the view and all that kind of stuff, so I can go back to my talking head view and keep the review down there at the bottom and all that kind of stuff using BitFocus Companion, OBS, and Free Show all together for my live stream. So I do produce it live, and it's simplified with all those without even using the YOLO Box, right? So I love that. Let's see here. I like the way you teach and show. Thanks, Jules. I appreciate that. So back to David. David is saying, He tried removing and reinstalling, even tried restarting from scratch and doing the announcement slideshow. I had the auto advance set to advance every 15 seconds. Okay, so you got it set to auto advance and it's not advancing. That's a weird situation. Okay, we have to look into that. That's a good point or good question or thought that you're having. Let's see here. Jules is saying, will FreeShow do a plug-in for Stream Deck? You don't necessarily need a plug-in for Stream Deck. You can literally just get Companion, and there is a connection already made for FreeShow with all kinds of like actions, I guess, or what do they call them? Buttons that you can create. So I've got a bunch of buttons. I actually customized a lot of my buttons before they had all those buttons pre-made or settings pre-made for it. But with one of the latest updates, just in this past today, this is May. So I would say probably at the beginning of May, there was an update that updated all the companion free show stuff to where it's a lot more user friendly. You said Companion is a big file. Oh, I've never tried Companion, and I never noticed how big it was. I got a 1 terabyte hard drive, but I don't have a lot of stuff on my hard drive. I've got about halfway filled, so I never thought about that. That's an interesting question or point. But it should work the same way though with Stream Deck, to where you should be able to make it work um, through there. I've not used the Stream Deck physically. I just used the Stream Deck button layout on my tablet or my iPad because it's cheaper. It's just free because I already had an old iPad. So David, going back, you said, I see the timer countdown, but it doesn't advance. When I have text on the slide, it is only showing the background. Okay, okay. So David, let's jump real quick. So what I want to do is I want to do a review of this stuff. Let's take some time. It's 11:16 now. Let's take the next 20, 30 minutes or whatever it is to answer some of these questions. And then we'll get into some beginner stuff with actions if we got time. So going to your question, David, let me get out of the internet and let's go to here. And I'm gonna make this full screen. So two things you talked about there, David. So first off, you said you got a show, and I'm gonna go to songs and we'll click on this song. And you said you got it to where you said actually it's your opening slides, right? So let's do, what did I do? I think I got something here called countdown. No, not that one. I made a let's do it this way. I'm gonna go back to one of my templates. So I'll do Sunday, and today is 5/23. So I'll put my date in there for that. And this is just one of my project templates. So I got what I call announcement slides, all right? And so my announcement slides are set to run every 10 seconds, right? So they just go on a loop 10 seconds at a time. And the way I activated that, and this is just the opening slide. And so each one, if I were to click it, you'll see on the right side there at the top, you'll see that it shows up. And so the idea is that it'll automatically advance each one, and the background is set there. So all these have the same background, but I went down here and I hit this to say 10 seconds at a time. All right. And so that's my next slide timer that I set for all of my slides. And then it automatically will make it loop, right? When you do that, if you do all your slides, it'll automatically make it loop. Now my timer didn't start up yet because it's a 10-minute timer, I believe. Let me hover over it. It says remove, okay, start timers on an active slide. And I believe I just already ran it because of my opening for this actual live stream. So if I go to my functions and go to timers, yeah, see, it's already spent. So if I go and reset it, you'll see it start up there. And then if I go here, it'll automatically start up. Okay. Because I got it set to where the action is to where to automatically start the timer on the slide. All right. And so you'll see it start, and then every 10 seconds, it's going to advance, and you see it there. And this is just a generic mock opening slides with no actual images. It just was text showing up. All right. And so that's one thing, David, when you talk about you got it on a timer, which is good. And then you said you got yours at 15 seconds, which is fine. But then you said you see the timer countdown, but it doesn't advance. And so in order for your timer countdown to advance, you either have to manually go in here and start it in your timers, which I don't recommend, but you do need to set up an action. All right. So you need to create an action that says, okay, new action. And you want to call this start timer. Uh-oh. I'm looking over my microphone. And I'm gonna call this training just so I can make a note of it and delete it later. All right. And then you want to say choose action. And so you got all the different breakouts here. This is a really cool feature where they're all organized for you, right? So I got media, audio, and then down here we got timers. If I go down, all right, so we got timers. And then we got this action called start timer. And then it says start timers on active slide. That's the one that you want. And so what I would do is I would just click that particular start timers on active slide. And now you've got this action made. You close it. All right. You got that done. So we got it. What do you call it? Start timer training. All right. Once you have it set and then you've added a timer to your actual show, you just drag that particular action onto that slide. And that's all I did. I just dragged it on that slide and let it go, and it'll be there. You'll see this little tag on it. And now when you start that slide, when you click on it to start the show, the timer is going to automatically start. Now, what I did, because I got my timer showing up in the top corner here too. Okay. If you look up here in the top right, I got the timer showing up there. The question is, how did I do that? Well, if you go to my edit page, you'll see that I actually made an actual slide layout, I guess you could say, but I've got all these different things in here. They got little animations to them, transitions or whatnot, kind of like what you would see in Keynote. Going back to what Jules was using Keynote, this is kind of like Keynote in terms of all the features that you would probably use on a regular. You would probably find those here in FreeShow. So my recommendation for people coming from Keynote or PowerPoint is to transition and make your slides here. Just start using them, making them here, because it's just so much more robust. You can put your backgrounds, you can put your, your items in by selecting text boxes, media. You can put websites in here. You can put clocks and timers. And so I added a timer by clicking this, and then I just picked the timer. So if I click on this item here, and it shows up here as a timer, I had a whole list of countdown timers I could pick that are all my timers here. I just picked the 10-minute countdown timer. And so now the timer idea is that when a timer is running in FreeShow, it's running wherever it is in FreeShow. Okay, so if you've added that timer to different slides, it's going to show the same clock time. It's not, I'm putting it on this show and then I'm gonna put it on another show and I have to start them separate. No, if you started it, it's gonna run no matter where it's placed in any show, right? So this is playing here, but I also have it on here. It's the same timer, so it's in sync. So it streamlines everything to where everything stays in sync, which is a different way of thinking, right? It's not as manual as you would think, but it's really designed for production to streamline the flow of a production. So it really works consistently to where this is the 10-minute countdown here, but I also have that same countdown smaller and in the corner. It's a 10-minute countdown, so it's in sync, okay? And so I added that on each of these particular slides here, and it's just there, and it just says service starts there, and that's just text box here that I put. It's just a added text box item. So I went here and it's the I just typed in there. I just typed in what it is and typed in what it is here, and that's it. It's just text. And then these animate in. This box here is just text as well, and it just animates in. All right. And so with your timer, that's a way to do it. Now, what I do for my opening for my live stream, for me, I didn't want to put the timer in the top corner in the slide. I actually went to make an overlay. And so what I did is I made an overlay, and I just got I made a category called timers, and I just put a timer in the top corner, and that's what shows up. So on my live stream show, I don't even have a timer on each slide, but it shows up on each slide because I just have it to where I have an action that activates this overlay. All right. So if I go back, let's go to my shows, and I'll go to FreeShow Friday, and you'll see, let's see it. FreeShow Friday countdown. This is more like a typical, maybe I would call this more of a typical traditional service countdown opening. Like I said, you all may have used like announcement slides and things like that, or events and things like that. Mine's is made up of a 8-second video here, a 3-minute video here, another 8-second video, the same exact one, and then a 2-minute video, 2 minutes, 23 seconds, and then another 8-second. And I made all these videos in a DaVinci, and I just duplicated this one multiple times with my face on it. But then this is one with previous thumbnails from YouTube, and then this is one with an African reach, and then this one here, this 3 minutes, is another one that's a global reach. So outside of Africa, all the different countries that are affected are impacted. And this was just in the first 3 months or 2.5 months of me having the show, right? And so you can see that there's a timer up here in the corner. If you can, it may be hard to see, but there's a little timer here, but that's an overlay. And it says, let's see here, run action, switch to OBS. That's fine. Start timer. That's fine. But it literally is just an overlay that I've put on there, and it actually just starts up. And so if I were to click this, it starts to play. Let me, oh, it's muted. So that's good. But you'll see that timer show up right here. That's literally just an overlay. All right. So if I come back out, and I take this overlay off, this is my overlays. If I clear that, you'll see that that timer goes away. It's just an overlay that I actually activate with the slide. All right. And so that's one way to do it. All right. Um, that would be my thoughts with it. And so when you hit clear overlays, it clears out auto overlays. So it cleared out my Q&A at the bottom there as well. All right. Um, let's pause that. I'm gonna just stop it real quick. Let's stop that. And that, so that's a background item. And my music is there too. So I'll stop that too. All right. And so that's what are some of the options. So you can make an overlay as your timer, and or you can make a timer that's included on each slide. All right. Let's see here. See the timer and the countdown, but it doesn't advance. So you got to start the timer. We talked about that. So you go down to your functions and you'll start your timer. Been able to do that on my MacBook Air. Okay. So you have been able to do it on the MacBook Air. It sounds like there might be some kind of maybe I would say driver, but I don't know if that's a driver issue. It could just be it's just not enough power on that computer. Maybe a CPU or GPU issue, David. I don't know. Uh, Al is with us. What's going on, Mr. Al? Um, Good morning, Gary. I found a way to have an audio file play over my announcement slides without restarting when the slides return to the first slide. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I do for Free Show Friday, right? So what you do, you said I found a way to have an audio play over my announcement slides without restarting when the slides. So good point. I would love to hear how you did it. I'm gonna share how I do it on Free Show Friday, which is just shedding light. Like I said, it's a live stream, so it's something you guys can glean from and really hopefully implement in some way. So I went to my audio, and what I did is I made a live stream playlist. Okay. Let me see. What did I call it? I call it live stream intro. And I just got these songs here, and I actually made an action. I know y'all look, I'm talking about actions a lot because actions to me are what will take you from being a beginner in Free Show to really getting comfortable to say, I got some comfort to where I can make this work smoothly. Because what I want you guys to be thinking about, and put this in the chat, what are some things this past week that you did that were some steps that you would like to simplify, that you would like to not have to focus on and click this and then do that, or have to do this to do that, or whatever it is, right? And so for me, I didn't want to have to start my playlist, start the slideshow, and start the overlay all at the same time. I mean, all separately by manually doing it. So I actually just put those in here. So this right here is the playlist. I just dragged an action on, and it's called, let's see, this action is called Start Music on Countdown. So if I go to my functions, I got some Free Show Friday ones. Let me see here. Did I put that in here? I didn't even put that one in there yet. So if I go up to all my actions, it is, let's see here, start show, start music for countdown. That's this one here. I'm gonna put that into my Free Show Friday actions. Oh, I got to right click on it. I'm tripping. So start music. So you right click and you can organize these. We're going to talk about that too. So I'm gonna right click and make it be in Free Show Friday. So I added it there. Did I do it? Yeah, it's in there now. Okay. So it was 4, now it's 5. All right. And so that's how I do it. So that playlist will loop, right? But that playlist, believe it or not, is actually 10 minutes long. And so it doesn't actually get to that point where it'll loop. It'll just be done. So this is 2, almost 2. So that's almost 4, 8, and then 2. Yeah. So it's literally right at 10 minutes long. And I just let that play. And then you never hear the same song twice, because by the time it gets done, the 10-minute countdown is over. Right. And so that's how I do my my audio, to where, like you said, Al, where it doesn't start back over when you get to the beginning, because it will do that if you're not careful. But as long as you got it set to where it just starts the playlist, you're fine. It won't keep starting over. All right. Let's see here. Steve Watson, how you doing, sir? I have an opener video. I want to hold on last frame and not fade out. All right. And so you want to hold it on the last frame and not fade out. The question I would have is, how many slides are in your opening? Well, it's the opener video. Perfect. So what I would say is, if you're just going to play the video one time, this is exactly what I do. My last slide is literally here. So when my Free Show Friday videos are done, right? So I got multiple videos. All these are videos. I got 6 different videos that play, but they just play right after each other. And so that's a whole nother thing. So for me, this little option here is an option that says move or next on media finish. So I put on each of these slides to go to the next slide when the video is done. And to do that, you just simply right click on it, right? And then you go to slide actions and you can go to this option that says next on media finish. So that way it won't just go 15 seconds. If you got a preset thing, you got this video in there, you need to change it to say, I don't want it to be a 15-second repeat, and be gone. I want it to actually go to the next slide once this whole video is done playing, right? And so that's one thing. Each of these videos has going to the next afterwards. And so that means this last one, it goes to the next as well. So in this case, we're calling it a next, but it's a next slide. And so it goes to this slide. And when it gets to this slide, it just says, welcome to Free Show Friday. And what happens is I've got that playlist going, right? It keeps going and it's looping. I got it to where that playlist will stop. I also had that timer going. I've got it to where it'll stop the timer, where it clears the overlays, and it just sits there. And the music stops and it just sits there on this welcome to Free Show Friday. And so basically just make another slide, and on that slide, make it to where the video that you've got as your opener will go to next by right-clicking on it. And then you go to slide actions and say next on media finished, right? And it'll take it to the next slide. In this case, if you've only got one video, you let it do that and it'll go here. Now, for me, what I would say is, if you wanted to go for the length of a certain time, I would just duplicate the video, make it in there multiple times, but put a little break. That's all I did. These literally could be 3 of the exact same video broken up by 3 of the exact same video, and it'll just do a loop, right? 3 times. That's fine. But you want to make it to where it'll fill out I made it to where mine will fill out my entire time for my timer. And then I don't have to make it do this 15-second loop. Now, what you can do, if you do have a 15-second or 10-second countdown loop and you want to make it end at a certain point, you can just make another show, right? And then just make it go to a show once the timer is over. That would be an action that you would say, all right? Advance to the next after the timer is over. That would be my thought. So hopefully that answers that one, Steven. So you're saying to hold on the last frame and not fade out. When I get to this slide, it just sits there until I transition and go to my next part for my live stream, which is I actually go to hit a button on companion. I call it a talking headshot, and it just looks like that, and it just clears out whatever's on Free Show, and it just takes me to another page. Okay, in terms of on OBS, so it actually transitions my OBS scene completely, and it cleared out the timer or the overlays, and I would put that back on my companion button. I'll put that back in there if I was going, but when I'm opening up, I don't need any under overlays at the bottom down there for topics, right? And then when I go to split share, which is my other button, it brings me here, and I keep the overlay there, and it works out just fine. All right. Great questions so far. Great questions, which make me tease a lot of my different things that I talked about. Let's see here. Make sure I didn't miss any questions. Jules, did I get all your questions? I think I did. I know you said companion is a big file. I'm not sure how big companion is. I have to look at that. Now you got me curious. Let's see. How big is companion really? Let's see. I'm going to my applications real quick. Companion is, yes, almost a gig, right? And so let's see. It won't let me show it there, but it's almost a gig. It's 662 megs from what I can see, which, let's see, compared to OBS, let's see, maybe, yeah, OBS is not far. It's 440 megs, so about half a gig. So they're not too bad relatively, but you're going to need them. They're really helpful. They're really helpful. So I would say it's worth the size. It's worth it. All right. Let's see here. Al said, I created a slide at the beginning of my announcements that had the audio and then disabled the slide. I created a slide, all right, at the beginning of the announcements that had the audio and then you disabled the slide. Oh, so you disabled the slide. It says when the slides return to the beginning, oh, they will go to the second slide and not repeat the music. Oh, okay, I got you. I got you. I got you. And so you added your music then, announcements that had the audio and then disabled the slide. And so do you manually disable the slide? That would be my question. Do you manually disable that slide out or do you, because what I'm hearing you say is you right click and hit disable, right? And that's an interesting situation. Hmm. And where are you getting your music from? Is it a playlist or is it a like a stream or is it are you just playing like how you playing your music? Okay, so you manually do it. It would be pretty cool to actually make an action for that. I don't know if they have one. So if I go to functions, that would be interesting. So if I say choose action slides, no, they don't have one that disables a slide. That would be cool. So what you could do, ideally, would be nice is play random, play slide. That would be interesting to disable a slide. You should put in a request on GitHub to make a an action option that disables a slide. Because I like what you did. That's very creative. Like I said, for me, I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do it. Um, you said it's a single audio file. And so how long is this audio file? This playing? Is it like as long as your timer, your countdown timer? So you learned it from PowerPoint 6. I love it. Or Pro Presenter, right? Not PowerPoint. I'm guessing it's Pro Presenter, PP6. All right. Let's see here. What is Companion really for? A 1 gig file for what? I love the question, Jules. And Al, let me know. Okay, Al says it should work for a playlist as well. It definitely works, but you don't need to do it. I don't need to do it for my play. Well, I guess you might need to because it will put that on there, right? That makes sense. What I would say, interesting. Yeah, that will it could work that way for sure. But the other thing you can do, Al, you don't even have to add it to. I'm thinking you would. I don't know. It might not. You might not need to do that for it. In that with the playlist because it'll just play and it's just set to play it. And if the playlist is already playing, it's not going to, I don't think it's going to restart because you can literally just go down and manually just start a playlist, right? You can just go down and I can just hit play and make it play if you wanted to, right? And it's the same idea as what you're talking about here to where you can make one that says, hey, this is where, so let's talk about, let me deal with Jules' question first. What is Companion really for? All right. So Al, I got a thought. Don't let me forget the thought. I got an idea for a way you can do that too. All right. So, Jules, I would say the idea for Companion, and I'm gonna pull it off. This might make some Velcro noise, but forgive me. So I'm gonna pull up my Companion layout that I've got here. So I use Companion on a tablet like this. All right. I don't want to lose my focus. So let me pull it up on my computer, and you can see it exactly. Because that's a good question. Now, I was wondering the same thing before I started using it. I'm like, why would I need that? And for me, what I would say is the best use or reason for Companion is to simplify things. All right. So here's Companion here. I'll maximize my screen. All right. And so this is the back end of it. So I've got Companion connected. I can connect an ATM. I can connect OBS to it, FreeShow, and I can even connect like a MIDI, a generic MIDI interactive connection, right? To where I can use it to send out MIDI signals and receive MIDI signals from FreeShow or from OBS or send them to those two programs, right? And so for me, the biggest benefit of Companion was these two things combined with one button. I could literally control OBS and FreeShow with one button. So let me show you what I mean. So on my buttons here, so I've got this is my layout that I'm using right now. And I also like the fact that I can see the time. So I'm looking at my iPad and I can see the time there. I got a timer set that not timer, but a count, just a clock. And I got this little icon here. This is flashing. Don't be distracted by it. It's designed for me to know in the corner of my eye that my audio is coming through. So it's literally showing the audio levels from OBS. So when OBS is in the green, it's showing green. When it's in the yellow, it shows yellow. When it's in the red, it shows red. And basically, it's a good moniker for me. I need it to flicker to know that my audio is not on mute. That's the one thing. I've done a live stream before and I was on mute the whole time and didn't even know it. Or I had my audio playing too loud for the background music and I didn't know it was on because I didn't hear it because I didn't have it on loud on my speakers. It was just playing through the live stream. So those are some benefits of that. So now I can use that to just see, right? But let me talk about these buttons up here. All right. So this one right here, the talking head button. If I click on that, you're going to see that it has an OBS setting. It sets and changes an OBS scene. And it also runs a free show action at the same time. And I just press one button. That is gold for me. Same way for my split share screen, right? That's what I'm using right now. That's why it's green. So any button that I press, it actually turns green. That's another thing that I like about it. It shows me what I'm actually using. So I'm live and I'm recording right now. And this is how long I've been live and this is how long I've been recording. And that's another thing. I like that it's giving me this visual without me having to go into OBS or without me having to go to YouTube and look at my the details and all that kind of stuff and the stats. I can literally just see on my iPad if I'm actually live, right? So it's a good glance. But on this split share, I've actually got it set to go to a scene in OBS. It's called FreeShow Friday Split Screen Share. I've got it going in FreeShow with another action. And then I've also got it set to do something in OBS with a restart media because I'm actually sharing on that scene. On this scene, I'm sharing my whole screen that you guys are seeing. So this thing right here, this is literally my monitor above my laptop that I'm looking at. Okay. And that's just fit inside of OBS. And so my favorite thing about this is that I can use one button to do and interact with multiple programs at the same time. So instead of me doing something here and then doing something here, or doing this and then sliding over, going to another screen and hitting another thing, I can just do it all one button. And that was the best thing in the world for me when it comes to this. Now, the other things, the visuals of it are really nice. I like to be able to see that I'm selecting or not selecting something. I like to see if I'm muted or not muted. Because if I go mute my music, for example, it'll actually turn red. And that shows me, oh, my music is muted. So I know that the music is muted, right? If I turn it off, it comes back on. If I mute my microphone, I know I'm going to be muted. So I'm going to be moving my mouth so you know that it's muted. And I just unmuted my microphone, right? And so those things are easy to access without you having to go and try to find it on the keyboard or on a computer and do it. You just set it and forget it. And so this is set right here to just mute my mic auxiliary source in OBS. And that's the source that it is there. So those things, it's a convenience thing. And the thing about it that I like about it, it's just like using an action in FreeShow. Is what am I doing that I have to think about? And is there a way that I can just set it to where it'll work without me having to worry about if I forget? All right. That's what Companion is a little bit to me. All right. So let's see here. Al says it should work for a playlist as well. Gotcha. Al's got to go. All right. No problem. No problem at all. Blessings to you too, sir. You're probably gone, but blessings to you too, my friend. So Jules, hopefully that helps add a little bit of clarity on what Companion is. And this is literally what you would see in a Stream Deck. If I had a Stream Deck device, it would be configured to look exactly like this. Okay. It would literally do these same things. You'll be able to see those on a little Stream Deck. I've just got it on an iPad. Okay. How much time to get to your Companion setup? How much time to get to it in terms of the actual setup? Since I've already set it up, I mean, it literally just takes the thought of knowing what you know you need to do, right? So if you know what you need to do in FreeShow, it's pretty easy. If you know what you need to do in OBS, it's very easy because you've already got all your scenes set up. You've already got all your actions created. All you're doing is pointing and setting a button to those actions. And the way you do it is you would just go here. I can add another thing. Let's do a new action. So I'm gonna go here to this button here that's empty, right? And I can say create a button. And I can name this button. I'm just going to call it training for now because I'm just going to show you guys what it can do. And there's a video about this. So make sure to check out the video in depth of setting up the buttons and even just using Companion with OBS and FreeShow together. Two separate videos. All right. So I can go down here. So this is step one. It's the press action. I never use the release action just because I don't ever need to hold it down and let it go because I'm doing a live stream and I'm the voice of the live stream, the host, I guess you could say. So I'm not going to be holding it. If I was just producing a show and I was behind the scenes, the release action would be pretty cool too. I can just hold something down and it'll pop up. And then when I let it go, it goes away. Really cool idea. All right. But I just hit this little red folder and it shows me all the connections I've got. I can do a search up here if I wanted to for what I want. So let's say I wanted to show time. All right. Um, let's see. We got free show. It says, okay, audio seek to a certain time. You can clear next slide timer, run actions by name, timers, pause to active timers, set media time, all these different things by time. I don't really do anything with that, but let's do clear. And I'm just going to pull up all of the free show stuff. So you can change your variables. You can change your transitions. I don't necessarily do any of that. I do like the clear all and clear audio, clear background. Those are easy buttons to create, right? You can just click that here and it'll automatically, you just press the button, it'll do it. So from a volunteer standpoint, this is a simplicity factor for a volunteer where all you're doing is teaching them how to press the buttons, which they know how to do already. And you just tell them when they need to press them, right? And then they got a bunch of other, so API messages that are not added specifically to Companion, but also custom variables internally. Let's see here. Run actions by name. This is one of my favorites. I set up actions in FreeShow that can do multiple things, and then I can just press them with one click here, even if I don't have them tied to an actual slide, right? And then project stuff, slides. You can do slides. They don't have that disable slide thing that someone mentioned, which I like, but you can just select the show by name and all that kind of stuff. So it's just streamline your process. You can stop timers. You can start them, and these are just creating. You just create a button that does that. Okay. And in OBS, this is a big one for me, is that I use OBS to live stream. And so I can do the same thing. I can actually use this to pause my recording, right? And so when I make my videos, my tutorials, I use Companion and I just start recording right from my iPad. And I have OBS open, I have FreeShow open, and I just start recording without doing, it's just not live. It's the same idea as what I'm doing with you guys now. You notice the setup is identical on all my videos, from the live stream into the videos. For consistency's sake, I think that's good, but it also is convenience for me. I just open it up and start. Okay. And I just press record. But you can see you can, pause recording. Like I said, you can, start media, you can switch scenes, you can, all kinds of stuff. So you can set the program scene, you can set a collection, scene collection. I don't even use half of this stuff, but it's available to you, right? So, and I can just trash that button because I don't really need it. So I can say clear and it just goes back to nothing being there. And it's just a grid, right? Um, so hopefully that gives you a little bit. How much time to get your Companion set up? For me to recreate all this, going back to your question, I could probably set this all back up. If I had to do it all over again, the biggest thing is going to be remembering what I needed. That would probably be the hardest thing. But if I knew exactly what I needed, I had a picture of this, I could literally set this up probably in 10 or 15 minutes, to be exactly how it is, just because everything in OBS is not changed. Everything in FreeShow is not changed. Now to set up the FreeShow stuff and the OBS stuff, that to me came with some time and some practice and saying, okay, I really need this to be a button that I can do. Like for me, I had to develop, what do I want these to be? I needed to say, okay, I need one that's just me, a talking head. So when I clicked that, I needed a shot like this. And so I made it in OBS, I made the scene, and then I made a button for it here. I also needed one that would split the show. So if I click this is the OBS, I mean, not OBS, this is the FreeShow show. This is literally what's active in FreeShow in my preview of my show. Um, sometimes I'll do a show. I'll make a whole FreeShow with basically a slideshow, and it has bullet points, and I'm talking to those points like I'm teaching something, right? Like a presentation. And I wanted to have a scene like that. And then I also needed one where it's just sharing the screen where I can show you stuff in OBS. So it's just a screen share. And so that took the most time. It's figuring out, what do I want to show? What do I want my buttons to do? And I had to develop that over time, trial and error, some suggestions from the community. People were saying, hey, Gary, can you make sure to show what you're talking about at the bottom or somewhere? So when they're watching rewatching the live stream, they can kind of skip around and all that kind of stuff. And it's a really cool way to do it. So if you know what you want, it's not difficult at all to set up at all in terms of time. All right. But if you're interested in it, to me, it's really if you feel like you need to streamline. If you need to streamline, and I say streamline meaning simplify your process so that other people can do it easier, right? Then that's where companion comes in, because literally my wife could probably come in here and run the show, and I can train her on what to do in probably 5 or 10 minutes, in saying the main things you're going to do. Because really all I'm going to do is switch between talking head and split share buttons. And that's it. And everything else, she just hits go live and hits record, and it'll automatically do that. When she hit go live, it'll automatically start recording, is what I got this button to do. So if I go to this go live button, it literally is starting recording, and it toggles the streaming. So to stop the streaming, all I hit is the go live button again, the live button, and it'll go gray, right? So when I'm not live streaming, it's not green behind here. It's actually a gray box, like it's not dead, but like it's just grayed out, like it's not active, right? And then this is not green either. It's just black box, right? So that would be my thought. Let's see here. All right, so my chat was acting up. It said it disconnected, but now it's back. So hopefully you guys can still connect and chat with me. What other questions do you all have before we shift into some tips on actions in FreeShow, and not necessarily much in OBS, but first thing, and we've already alluded to it, is this idea of dragging actions to slides, right? And so I'm going to create an idea of when you might use something like this. All right. So I'm going to do a whole new show. And this show is going to be called Training with Actions. And I'll say in slides. All right. And it's got this quick lyrics option. So I'm going to go to the quick lyrics, and I'm going to say drag actions to slides. Now hit enter, and that's going to actually make like a whole new slide. And then I'm going to say, let's see here, set actions from functions tab, add images, and change the layout. All right. And so that's that. And then I got the title here. I can go to options, and you can do some more stuff. Max lines per slide is set to 1, which is fine for me. And I go ahead and hit new show. And I've got 1, 2, 3 slides, because I hit enter 1, 2, 3 times, or 1, 2, yeah, to get to there. So that it breaks it out into slides, which is a quick way, an easy way. So if you've got like a Word document, you can literally just copy and paste it in there under that quick, what they call it, quick lyrics show, right? And it's under my free show category. You can easily make it be literal lyrics for a song. So you can make it be a song category, or it could be scriptures. You can paste in that, or I've got a presentations category under my shows. So that would be where it would go if you wanted, if it was like pastor's notes, where they wanted to show those notes for the congregation and stuff like that. So quick lyrics are really cool. I like those a lot. So I've got that, but I also want to add a picture in here somewhere. So let's go to media, and I'm going to go to online media, and I'm going to just do Unsplash, and let's do a search for, let's say fish. So pastor's doing a message talking about fish. So I got this, I'm going to drag that in here, and I got this image. All right. And so the reason why this is important and helpful in terms of a way and a reason. So I'm gonna drag this one to where it's gonna be in the middle, in between these two. All right. So we got this slide here, this drag actions to slides, and then we got this one that's just fish. All right. But the problem is, this is what the church sees in-house. Okay. They see this in-house, which is perfect. I want them to see the fish. I got it set to where it'll actually show the entire picture, but then it'll just kind of blur and fill the screen. Okay, I want it to fill it out so I don't see anything else. So this is just a blurred image of the fish, all right, in the background there, which is perfect. All right. Now, because the picture, the fish wasn't taken in 16:9, that picture is taken a little bit taller and narrower. Okay. And so I want my live stream audience. So my live stream audience right now, all they see is just this thing that says drag actions to slides. All right. I want them to see this picture of the fish. So what we need to do is we need to make an action that changes the layout, okay, of our live stream to where it'll show the fish full screen. All right. And then we also need to make another action that changes it back so it doesn't show the full screen of this text, right? So for me, there's two things you got to consider. You got to go to your settings and you got to look at your styles, right? And so right now for let me go to my outputs first. On my outputs, I'm using the stream training for my live stream. This is my live stream output. So my output style is stream training. So let me go to my styles and let me look at stream training to get an idea of what's included with it. All right. And down here, you'll see I got a lot of FreeShow Friday styles. And those buttons that I talked about in Companion, those are interacting with, I actually made actions to change between these for me. Okay. But my stream training is here. All right. And right now, I've got the backgrounds deactivated. I've got the slides deactivated. And I only got overlays active. All right. But if I did activate the slides, okay, let me go to a slide that actually has text. So I'm going to go here. And notice what it did. It kept the fish in there. I don't want the fish in there. So let me go back to Unsplash. Let me show you a tip. Here, if we go to fish again, and I right click on this and I do edit, I can make the type default to be a foreground picture. All right. And that's really what I want. I want it to be a foreground image because I don't want the fish to be in the background all the time. So I'm going to go back to my media and I'm going to change my background back to being, I guess I got some favorites. Let me see what's one of my favorites. Oh, it's checking for fish. I don't want to check for fish. All right. So we'll make it go back to this. All right. And that's kind of a lighter version of it. That's not let's do this one. We'll do this one because it's darker so you can see the words better. All right. So I got that as my default. And the way I want it to work is I want this to actually be there all the time. So I would just drag this image on the first slide. All right. And what that does is it sets the tone for every other slide. So if I arrow to the right, the fish show up there and they show up there. Now the fish are a foreground image now. So see how they just popped up over the top of everything? And I can go to the next slide and it takes it here, but it didn't get rid of my fish. So I got this issue where I need to make these fish not be the background. That's basically what we're dealing with. And so what I would say you do is let me turn that off and get rid of my fish. All right. And so these fish are causing somewhat of a problem. All right. But you can make them be a foreground or a background option. That doesn't matter. The main thing is going to be that here is where we're going to do our magic. So I'm going to go to stream training and I've got that here, but I also have other styles. Like I got this one just called default and it has background and it has slides active. All right. And so what I want to do is I want to make it go to this default layout. And then I want to go back to the stream training. All right. And so what I'll do is I'm going to go back to my show. I'm just going to go to functions. And I'm going to say new action. And this one's going to be called default style. I'm going to say for training. All right. For us. All right. And I'm going to go down and I'm going to say output, change stage output layout. Okay. So it's the stage. I want to just do change output style. This is not for stage. It's just a regular output. So I'm going to hit that. And it says active outputs. I'm not going to do active. I want to change that to just say specific outputs. And I'm going to say my live stream output. I want to change that to just be default when I get to the fish. All right. So that's one thing. That's an action. Done. Now, the other thing I want to change it back to the live stream for training afterwards. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna say, let's call it stream training layout. All right. And I'm gonna choose action. This is gonna be a similar action, but it's gonna do the opposite. It's gonna go back. All right. And so I'm gonna do change output style. And I'm gonna say instead of active outputs, I want to do a specific one. And I'm gonna change this live stream to go back to stream training. All right. Now that's there. Got it done. That whole thing I did with the fish, I'm going to change that back to where it's not even going to be a foreground image. That was just an option to let you see what it can do, right? So you can do that to it'll just be at the top or over the top of it. And so I'm going to right click on this and actually I can just delete it from there, but I'm going to get rid of it from going to edit and it went back to default. All right. So that's perfect. All right. So now I need to make this show default on the live stream. So I'm gonna go to my functions and actions. And let's see here. What do we call it? Default style for training. I'm gonna drag that on here. But then I want this one to go back to the live stream. What did I call it? I think I called it stream training. All right, stream training layout. I want that to be there. All right. And I also want this to have this blue background with it too. So I'm going to make that blue background. I'm going to drag that on to there because I don't want the fish to remain in the background. All right. And so to do that, I'm going to go back to my favorites. I'm going to drag this on here and it's going to clear out. See, I've made that be there instead of that fish carrying over because I made the fish be just another background item still. All right. So now if I go here and we're going to pay attention up here to our preview window. If I arrow to the right, now my live stream gets to see the fish. Okay. And then I arrow to the right again and it goes away. Okay. And so that's the idea. Now, my live stream also will probably be seeing some slides. So for my live stream style for stream training, I actually have the slides deactivated. But if I turned them on, it would be like that. Okay. So your live stream would be something like this, where you'll see the little white box with the lower thirds. And let's go back to it. So I'm going to go back to that. And so there's no text on there. So it goes to that and go here and it goes to that. And let's go here and go to that and go here and it goes to that. All right. And so this one is showing, and I've got that actual, like I said, that slide active with that particular layout. So there we go. So it's showing the layout there. And it's because I've got the actual slides active on my stream training. I always disable it for my live stream because I don't need to show slide text to you guys in that way. Right. If I wanted to show it, I would just probably just click the actual show like this and let it show up there. All right. And so hopefully that is an idea of how to drag your actions onto a slide. In this case, specifically, if you've got a picture that you want to show. Okay. So if you got a picture you want to show, you can do that. Let me turn off that lower thirds piece on my stream training. I don't necessarily need the slides to show up. So I'm going to turn that off. All right. For your live stream, you want to keep that on because you want to see the text of each of these. All right. So you can drag. That's a big deal. You can literally drag actions onto slides and customize. So now the only thing a volunteer has to do is they just have to click one thing and then arrow to the right. It automatically updates for the live stream. They click again to the right and it automatically goes away. They don't have to go and hustle to try to find something to turn that back off or do this or do that and make that layout be back different, all that stuff. So that's where actions, they should save you some clicks. They should save you some headache. They should save your memory from not having to work so hard. Okay. That's the idea. Now, the next thing that I want to talk to you guys about when it comes to all these different actions, and leave me any questions, feel free to chat. Let me make sure the chat is working. Somebody send me something. Let's see. Just say yes or no if the chat is still working. Because the last thing I see is an error message saying that it was trying to reconnect. All right. So if the chat is working, just type a yes at the bottom for me. All right. And so, okay, thanks, Jules. And we got Sibusiso Radibi. Hi, Gary. I created opening slides with a countdown timer layout, and I also have action done for it. It starts well, but the timer stops when it gets to the last slide, but the slides loops correctly. Okay. And thanks, Teo, for letting me know the chat is still working too. And so Sibusiso, let me know what you're talking about at the end there. It seems like you're saying that the show goes properly. It goes like you want it to, but you got it set to where it loops. And so your opening slides are on a loop, which is fine. And so let's look at that. Let's see, how do we basically, what you're saying is, how do I stop a looping countdown? Let's talk about that, because that's something that I've done here with my show. I actually set it up to where it's set to loop, but I also got this welcome, right? This welcome slide here, right? And so what you can do is you can right here on the make a separate show, right? I got a separate show with just one slide on it, right? And so what I would do is I would probably make an action that says go to welcome And I'm gonna put training in here. You guys don't need to put training, but this is just for me to make a note. I go back and try to clear out these that I create on the fly with you guys. So go to welcome slide. All right. And I'll say slideshow. All right. And so we'll say choose action. And so let's see here. We got this start show option, open show with name. We got timers, start timers, pause timers, stop active timers. Basically, what I'm hearing you say is you need to be able to get to another slide after your um, timer stops, right? And so start timer, start metronome, next track and playlist. And I'm wondering, let me see here. Slide actions, activate with shortcut. Next slide, timer. That's not it. Start action. Let me see here. Change volume, timer, start timers on active slide, stop timers. Now we don't want to do any of that. Um, that's a good question. I'm trying to think about what I would do if I were you, and you've got yours looping like this. Um, hmm. I gotta think about that one. That's a good question. I think that's what you're asking though, is that you've got it to where it loops, and basically you want to automate the process of when it's done with the timer, what does it do next, right? And so my thought personally would be to extend it. My first thought is, right, to extend it out to where your show doesn't necessarily need to loop. It's just on a timer, right? And you just duplicate it as many times you need to for that time to be the 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, however long your timer is, right? That's one way to do it. And then at the end of that, it just goes to the next show. Okay. Um, let me think here. If I do here, if I go to options, it would just be another option. I can add an actual piece here, another action to a the actual section, but we don't necessarily want that. We don't have to. Um, you got me thinking now because ultimately we need to send something when that timer's over. What I would say you do, this is my thought, is I would probably go to my calendar and do a schedule action and then just do new event. And then you would say at whenever that timer is supposed to be done. So I got an actual schedule action for my countdown timer to start at mine is actually at 10:55 because my show starts at 11. So I got a 10-minute timer that starts at 10:55 and it goes to 11:05. What I would do at 11:05 is I would actually start here. I would say oh 05, start another slide. So I would say start a different show, and then you would pick your welcome show. Let me see. I got one called Welcome To. Here we go. So I got Welcome To. So I would actually click a new show. So you would make a new show, and it just goes and it just cuts to a new show, and then basically you would set it for the same day that you got. So down here you can see at the bottom of mine, I got my 10:55 show. I would make an 11:05 show that cuts directly to that, and it would automatically do it for you without you having to think about it. And that to me would probably be the simplest way to where it alleviates you having to worry about thinking about it. Oh, he says the timer stops before it gets to zero. Hmm. So the timer stops before it gets to zero. So do you have your show in a loop? That would be it. So at the end of your show, going back, I went on a whole rant about something. I really like that solution for what I said, but this is going to hopefully make sense for you. Make sure that your last slide, because you said the timer stops before it gets to zero. And my guess is that you've got it to where it's not, hmm, we'll make the timer stop. Do you have it to where your slide action at the end is to go to the start? That's one. So this last one, it's a loop option. You set that last slide to go back to the beginning slide, and they'll just kind of loop back and forth. They'll just keep cycling back and forth. That's one thing. The other thing is your timer. Is your timer on each slide? And I showed that earlier is that this timer is actually, let's see, let me go to Q&A. We're doing a Q&A question here. So this timer is set on each slide, And I showed you guys on my Free Show Friday, I actually have my timer set as an overlay. And so my overlay is always there. And I actually have this particular clock there because it's on every slide. Okay. So what I'm guessing is you may not have your timer on each of your slides, is my guess, or it's not, your timer is not showing and you don't have it as an active overlay. Okay. So one of those two is going to be the best option to solve the timer not going to the end, like that it actually stops. It's just because it's not on the slide. And or I say or it's not on an overlay that it just stays over the top of all your slides. That's the simplest way that I like to do is I just put my timer over the top of all my slides. So I can click this now and it shows up over the top of all my slides. On my live stream, which you guys can see at the top there, over there, all in the corner, and on my actual show, which you guys can see right here. All right. And to actually start the timer when it's already run for that day, because the timers, I believe they reset each day. For me, I would have to go into my timers and I would just go into my 10-minute timer and reset it. And you'll see that when it's reset and I go to there, you'll see now that it's reset and it's showing up properly. Okay. So that's one thing to consider for that situation. Let's see here. The timer is on a timer overlay. Okay. So it should run all the way through. The only thing that I can think is double check your timer then. So let's go to our timer and edit on the overlay. So I'm on my overlay. What you want to make sure of is check your conditions. So you might have made a conditional accident to where allow the following if the conditions are met. So you might say, okay, you might have a timer thing that says, okay, if it's at or if it's above such and such, then make sure it shows. But if it's not above that, it's going to be invisible, right? So let's see here. I'm going to say for my 10-minute countdown, it says show item if is above, and you might have it set to where it's if it's above 20 seconds or something like that. That would be my only thought that would make it cut off early. And what happened here is once it gets to 20 seconds, it just disappears. That's what this condition would do. Now, I don't necessarily want that. So I'm going to make that be back to 0. And I don't even need that. So I'll just make it be empty. But that would be a reason that it would actually cut off and disappear. And you'll see it, a little light bulb icon up here if you've got a condition on it, which we don't need. I don't need a condition on mine. All right. So, but I love that you got the timer on an overlay. You have the overlay active. And if it goes away, the only reason that it cuts out is going to be because either you started it early or you turn off your overlays. That would be the thing. So the question I have though is, do you have the timer or the overlay set to actively start the timer with that show? Right. So you could be starting your actual timer early by mainly going into the overlays or going into your timers and pressing start and then starting your show. What I would do is I would just add an action, create an action that starts the timer here. That's what I did. I actually have an action that starts the timer. And that's it. And it'll start it on the overlay. And even if it's not on the slide, it'll still start the timer that you have on your overlay and it'll run. And you just make it to also add in the overlay. So you can make it say, hey, start overlay here as well. So I can make an action. If I go to my actions here, I can go here and I can say choose action. And let's see, what is it under? What are overlays under? Okay, media. So you can make one that just says start an overlay and you would just go here and it would let you pick your overlay. So I got a 10-minute countdown overlay. I would just make that and then I'm gonna make this say training for now. And you can hit close once you do that. And it's called start timer training. I would just drag that here and it's actually starting the overlay. All right. And I would just drag that on top of that first slide. And that would be a way to where all you're doing is you really don't have to do anything because you would just start this show based on your calendar action, right? So I would just schedule an action like I've got here. I got Free Show Friday going forever, for at least the next few years running, and it's going to automatically start at 10:55. Whatever, if I've got Free Show open, it's going to automatically start up for me. And once it starts up, it runs all the actions on the first slide on its own. And that's what you're doing. You're basically setting it up so you don't have to worry about it to where I would set it for whatever time you want that timer to start, 5 or 10 minutes before service. And you put all those, you start your overlays on this, you put an action to start the overlays, and it'll automatically start the show and it'll automatically start the overlay and your timer and your slides will be in sync real time. Okay. That would be the only thought that I would have as to why it stops before it gets to zero. And I say the zero when you say it gets to before it gets to zero, the only thing that would stop it from getting to zero is the condition, is my guess. But let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. I'm curious. I'm curious now. Brian asked a question. What are my thoughts about using FreeShow without using a mouse? Um, it's doable as long as you have it prepared. Like you're well prepared and planned. You can literally use FreeShow by using your arrows as long as you got all your shows and sections and projects all lined up. All you know, your volunteer or yourself will have to do is arrow to the right. And that's where these actions come in, because if you have your actions actually on there, that's the idea. Just have them to where you can just arrow through without using a mouse at all. And automatically everything starts up on its own. It starts on a certain, you can make a FreeShow start on a certain show if you wanted to. Um, and it'll just automatically open up and do what it's got to do. And all you got to do is arrow to the right and get it started. Right. I like the schedule action though for your calendar. That would be the best thing though, to instead of even having it open up on a certain slide. It doesn't matter what it opens up on. The real thing is making it start at the right time. And that's where you wouldn't need a mouse to start it if you got it scheduled to start. Okay. Um, Great question. Great question. I like the idea because and I say without a mouse. I'm thinking about just using the arrows, right? You can arrow through an entire project. So I got this whole project here. I can arrow through that whole thing if I wanted to. But you also could just use companion too. So that's not a mouse technically, but it's buttons that you would just press, and you can use that to go through your entire show. Let's see here. Another question. Jules says, Keynote got presenter notes. True. Free show as how to, okay, how do you make presenter notes? Thank you for all your teaching. So great question, Jules. In Free Show, you literally can add notes to each individual slide. So let's go to, these are announcement slides. Here's some training notes. These are some fake training notes. Okay, not fake. These are real notes. This is a real presentation I had. All right. And so if I were to edit, and so on this 1.38, this is maybe 2 months ago or a month and a half ago, whenever it was, and I want to add some notes to this slide, I go to the edit page, and then I just go over to the right, and you'll see an option that says notes. So I'm going to say, remember to show the website changes. And I'm just typing out something random here. And those notes are down here at the bottom. Okay. You'll see those down here. All right. I'm gonna go to this next slide. I'm gonna add some different notes, and notice that the slide notes just are there now. Even I don't have to hit that little arrow caret thing or whatever it was. So this one I'm going to say, it says quick reference scripture fix. Yay. Love making scripture shows. And I'm just typing notes. You'll see them down here at the bottom, and you'll see them here. Okay. And I'm going to show you the reason I want you to is to know where they're showing up, because that's a good reference. And then I'll make one more set of notes. All right. And so weird template font size issue. I'm going to say all issues have been fixed. All right. And this is where Keynote falls behind when it comes to Free Show, and where Free Show really pulls ahead. All right. So Jules, check this out. In my settings, first thing I want to do is I'm going to actually make an output change. I'm going to actually show what we call a stage output, right? In Free Show, it's called a stage output. Some people call it a confidence monitor. You can call it whatever you want to. It's fine. But I've got outputs, all right? And I've already got one called stage, okay? So I've got my live stream, my primary. I got another ministry I work with called SMI. And then I got this stream transparent one that I was playing with that has some other things with it. But I'm just going to, so I only got these two active, my live stream and my primary. You all have been seeing those this whole time. They're up here. They're the two previews. So I'm going to go to stage, and it's disabled right now, but I'm going to enable it. And notice that you'll see here that it's there. All right. So now I've got 3 active outputs. And these two are actually just going to OBS. They're just NDI. I don't even have them going to any particular screen or anything like that. Nothing is actually running. Nothing's presenting in terms of on an actual projector or slideshow from my computer physically. It's all just virtual. So my live stream, I don't present anything anywhere physically. It's all just virtual right here in front of me. Okay. If I had a backdrop or something like that, like a projector screen or something behind me, I could send all these slides visuals to that, for example, and it'll be a nice little cool backdrop. I used to do that with a TV monitor behind me, and it was just extra. It was fine. I liked it, but it was just extra for me. For a ministry though, you might have what you call a stage output. Okay. And so now I'm going to go to the stage edit options here, and I want to set it up to where my stage doesn't show current slide and next slide only. I want it to also show my notes. All right. And so I got the progress, I got the speaker timer. We'll make this timer a little bit smaller because it's supersized, right? And I'm gonna put some notes, but I'm gonna move all this over. So I'm gonna make this go away, and we'll pull this over, and we're gonna put our notes right up under our current slide, okay? And this is just some stuff that I've already pre-made, but it's a way that you can make a really helpful, like I said, like in Keynote, you got your little presentation view. You literally can make your own presentation view, but you can customize it completely, right? You can customize a little bit in Keynote. I'm familiar with Keynote. I've actually got some buttons here. So this is something that your speaker can see, just like in Keynote. They can see it on a tablet or their phone, and they can literally, I got it set to with this, when they click it, it literally advances to the next slide for the entire congregation and for their notes. So they can see it just like they're controlling it with a remote for Keynote or something like that. All right. And this is just a simple template. Whole nother video. You can check it out. But for this, I need to add in this space, something for notes. All right. So I can go to my items, and I've got this slide text. I got current output, which is like a visual of what the picture looks like. So it'll look like this in the confidence monitor. It zaps a bit of energy from your computer. So I wouldn't do it in terms of GPU or CPU usage. It's quite heavy. But I want to do something down here. I need to add a text box. So I'm gonna go text box. And to move it, I just go to the edge of it, and you'll see the little four-way corner or arrow deal. All right, so I got that. Now in here, I need to put something in there. So all I do is right click in here, and this option called dynamic values, right? Dynamic values are really cool, and you're going to see why I say that. Because in here, I can actually add in a dynamic value to show time, to show options like the title, the name of the show, the next show name, layouts, slide number, all kind of stuff. But if you notice down here, it's got slide group and slide notes. So I can actually go to slide notes. Boom. So now I've got slide notes here. Now let's go back to our show. And since that's a dynamic thing, it's active, right? So I can go here, and now look at what shows up for the speaker. They see the current slide. It says 1.38 fixes the next slide, but also my notes. Remember, I typed this out. Remember to show the website changes. I just made up something random, but this is where you would actually see or make use, I should say. For me, this is where the way I would make use of my slide notes. All right. And that's just from a stage view. All right. Now, let's say you guys don't have an actual monitor in the back of the church. I say the back of the church. You don't have a monitor or a TV screen or projector where the person on stage can look back and see it. So they'd be looking towards the audience. So I would say behind the audience. Sometimes people have it on the floor on the stage. That's fine too. Or even on the first row. I've seen it at some ministries where it's on the first row in the first seat, and it's a TV just slanted up, looking at the speaker, the person speaking, right? The pastor in this case, or the worship leader. Um, you can do it just virtual and just make it be something they have on their phone, and they can literally control it, or they can use it from their computer with the browser connection option, right? So in here in FreeShow, you can go to connections, and you can say, I want to show my stage, and they would just be able to scan this with their phone, or you can just give them this IP address on the computer, and you can make it to where they can get to it locally, as long as they're on the same Wi-Fi network or wired. They can be wired as well, but on the same network, internet network, they can actually go there, and it's closed, it's a part of the closed network, not on the internet worldwide, but it's there for them. And they can actually go to their computer and see it just in their deal, almost like they're controlling the show. Okay. And so if I were to go to the next slide, you notice that the notes change. Love making scripture shows. Quick reference scripture fixed. Yay. Love making scripture. These are my notes, right? So that's how you can actually use your notes, kind of like what you talked about with Keynote, where you got the presenter notes. You can make sure you can do the same thing in FreeShow, and you can set it up exactly like it looks in a Keynote if you wanted to. I haven't used Keynote in a while to do that, but if I were to go here, I'm gonna pull this down because it was getting on my nerves. It was overlapping, but you can make it look exactly like it does in Keynote if you wanted to, if that makes you comfortable. And it's simply by going to the items, and you just click the items you need, right? In this case, I've got a progress one that's here. I got the speaker timer. That was just a timer that I made. I made it 30 minutes. You might change it and make a new timer that's called 45 minutes, or however long your pastor teaches, or however long the worship team goes, right? I got one called worship stage that has a 45-minute timer. Maybe your worship goes 15 minutes, 20 minutes. You would make that, and you can customize these stage outputs for the people on stage. So Jules says, if you have paragraphs in your notes, is there a window only for notes for the presenter? Um, Change the font size. So you can just make your stage be that, right? So there's no window for it, because with FreeShow, you got to remember, usually it's going to be a production or media team managing the slides, not the actual person speaking. As opposed to Keynote, it's a one-man band, right? In terms of the person speaking is the one that's controlling the show a lot of times. I'm not saying that's how it is in your church, but it's designed for it to be controlled, and the person's looking at the computer and they're talking to the audience or whoever it is. They can use a clicker if they wanted to, or use their computer hitting the arrows. Free show is designed for somebody to manage the arrow pushing while somebody else is speaking. So the person that's managing it can see the notes here. Okay, they can see the notes down here, right? And if they're a paragraph, they're a paragraph. They'll just be longer notes, right? And then you can also just make a stage that just is full of notes. So I can make a new layout, and that new layout can be, I'm gonna just call it stage notes, right? Same idea. I would just do slide text, and oh, actually, I don't want to be slide text because you said you just want notes. So I'm gonna do text box, right click in there and pick dynamic values, and I'm gonna go to slide notes, and I got them there, and I can say, okay, I got the slide notes. I'm gonna make one that's called next slide notes as well, right? So we go to our items and do another text box, drag that over, and I can right click in here, dynamic values, and do slide notes next. And it's the next slide notes. And so now for my show, I'm gonna go back to this one, and I'm gonna change my for my output, the one that shows, I'm gonna make it be, instead of it being this one, I'm gonna call it the stage notes, and you'll see the stage notes here. And it's just you can make it whatever color you want that background to be. In terms of the size of the text, let's see here. To customize the text, let's go back to stage editing. So I'm here, and let's say you wanted the text to be bigger. You can make the text bigger. You can make it smaller. You can say, I want it to be 45. So it can be smaller if you wanted to, and it would look something like that, right? So you can customize it however you want, literally, which is really cool. And you can make it be a different color. You might say, I want it to be yellow. I don't know. Totally up to you. All right. And I did it on both because I didn't select any one of them in particular. All right. But so yes, you can change the size of the fonts, and you can have it to where you can, be a full paragraph in there if you wanted to, based on how many notes they got, for sure. Let's see here, paragraph. Notes. Is there a window only for notes? And so the window for the notes, if you're in the show and you wanted to see the window for it, I think. Let's see. If you go to notes here, these are notes for like the entire show. And so your actual notes for it are going to be in the edit page under slide, and then you go to notes. So you would actually see them here, but you also will see them down at the bottom. If there are notes on the slide, you're going to see them at the bottom on the working view on the show page, right in the middle here. All right. And then any way to scroll, tell me what you mean by that in terms of scrolling, Jules, because there's ways to scroll like text up, down, to the side, all around, I guess. But I guess I'm trying to understand, do you mean just scrolling through this for the edit view, or you mean scroll the text, right? And so let's say you meant scroll the text. We'll stay in this same show, and I'm gonna go to this, and I'll go to edit. All right. So I got this text here, and I want it to scroll. I go down to special, right? Because I'm on the text box, and it's got this option called scrolling. And you can say, okay, I want it to go from top to bottom. Okay. So you said many phrases. Okay. So we can say make it scroll top to bottom. And I'm going to say here, more stuff to say. A few more things to say. Plenty more things to say. And more. All right. So we got this scrolling from top to bottom. Let's see here. Scroll duration is set there at 30, and you can do a press action to where if they press it, it'll do something. That's actually another special feature. It's not a part of the scrolling, but so now we got that there, and we go to show, and I go here. All right, and so now you'll see here it's going from top to bottom, and this is what it would look like. I would probably do it from bottom to top. So if you wanted the audience to see it this way, that's how it would look. Um, but if you're talking about on the stage, that I don't know. I've never tried that. Now, there's no option to scroll the stage view notes. Okay, but you can scroll a show, right? And so on my opening slideshow for free show, what I've done is I don't use it for scrolling top to bottom or bottom to top. I actually scroll left to right. And so what I did is I got this little bar at the bottom that I made, and I'm gonna do it something like that, and see how the words are sticking out the edge of there. I'm gonna click that, and I'm gonna go to my text, and I'm gonna do auto size, and to make it automatically fit, right? And then I can go to special again, and I can scroll. In this case, I'm gonna scroll from the right to the left. And so what that would look like is something like this. Let's refresh. So we'll do something like that at the bottom. That would be, to me, a useful use of scrolling that I've used. I've actually used that, right? And then I've got that overlay there. And so what it does, it goes behind the overlay. So you can do a lot of cool stuff, making it look like it's hiding or going around something, whatever it is, right? So you can do all kind of cool stuff. Um, so he says, scroll the notes. Okay. Ali Bertrand. You said H. Let me know what you mean, Ali. And then Jules says, if you put your speech in your notes, like a teleprompter. Yeah, so that would be interesting in terms of, I don't think you can make, well, you can make the notes slide, but it wouldn't be in a stage view. It would have to be on the main view because there's no sliding or scrolling text. I'm sorry, you can make it scroll, but there's no scrolling text in the stage view options. Um, that would be a request. I would probably put in a request on GitHub for that. I would recommend go to the Free Show GitHub page and put in a request because I love the idea. So if I go to my stage, what you're saying is if I make this go away, and I'm guessing you're talking about doing a service. If you're talking about doing a service, it need to be like a stage view is my guess. But I guess it could just be another output, right? You can make any output be your stage view, honestly. So you can make a separate output that just has the text scrolling. Um, and so let's do, instead of it being this, um, this is the stage view. So yeah, it wouldn't scroll, but you're saying you wanted the notes to just kind of scroll up and show like a teleprompter. I've seen that on a teleprompter, mind you, but not in free show. If you did it, it would have to be just a regular show, right? And so this one, I'm gonna edit that to make it go from bottom to top because that's kind of weird. All right, and this will kind of be like a teleprompter. Okay, and so let me refresh it, and you'll see it. It'll kind of scroll up, and it's going from inside that text box, right? And so that would be something that you would do. I would think that would be really cool to use for behind the scenes. Like you just literally using Free Show as a teleprompter and you're doing like a talking head like this. That I like that a lot. I've never thought about that, but that's another reason to use Free Show outside of even for ministry or church settings. But it could be a video that you make for the ministry where you write a script and you got somebody, a leader or somebody like that yourself on the media team, a pastor, something like that, making a video. You can use Free Show as a teleprompter very easily. Libra says the new update. I can't find groups. What? Which new one? You talking about 144 or 143? Because they just came out with that beta. I don't use the betas too much. So let me look and see. Um, when you say you can't find groups, you talking about in the settings? So if you go to your settings, Libra, and you go to, what is it under now? Is it under general? No, nothing. Files? You know, it is. It's under general. So okay, under general, Libra, it's different. It's moved, right? So over here, it's not over like it used to be. Go to the bottom right, and you'll see manage groups, and you'll be able to manage those if this is what you're talking about, right? In terms of managing in the groups, because if you had groups already set up, they're there still, like they'll still show up on your slides. But this is where you would manage them down at the bottom right. There's this option called manage groups. And the same way for those, if you want to manage your gradients, you would do the same thing. Um, if you want to manage your gradients, you would go here, and these will make it universal. Okay, this was in that video I just released this week. This is a really cool feature. I would always make my gradients from here instead of making them individually on a slide, because they'll be universal. You can use them all the time, anytime you want to, and they'll be there. And you can delete them if you want to. You see a little trash can icon pop up, and then you got the default ones. You can't delete those. All right. So there have been some streamlining to the settings. But yes, so go to the general, and under general, you'll see managing your metadata. You'll also see the managing groups, and you can also manage your icons here as well. So you can actually import SVGs into here that you may create or find online or something like that for other icons. And these icons are useful for your categories. All right. And so if I go back to my show, you'll see here I got some icons here. Got a little music note one. For media, you don't get to get any icons, but there's some here. There's some icons here, but for your folders, they just show up as a folder. Audio, there's some icons up there, and then these show as playlists and then folders. Overlays, you can add icons to your categories as well. So yeah, hopefully you guys aren't getting seasick with my scrolling text here. Jules, let me know if that answers your question as well about the teleprompter idea. I love the idea as well. That's a really cool thought. Last thought, and I'm gonna let you guys go. I know it's getting late. So we talked about how to organize our actions, I believe. If we didn't, I mean, you can just briefly go over it. You can organize all your actions by simply right clicking on them and then setting a tag. Okay. And you can just say set tag, and then you can say manage tag if you want to, or you can pick one of your current tags, right? And it'll help you organize them. So I've got a bunch of Free Show Friday actions here. They're just for Free Show Friday. And I just put them all here so I don't have to sift through a whole list of all these actions to go through, right? I've also got some actions that just do clearing. They just clear stuff out. Okay. Awesome. I see you. I see you, Jules. And so you can organize them. The last thing I'll say, a more advanced feature, okay, is you can stack your actions. And we didn't talk much about this week or last week, but if I wanted to make an action that did like 5 things in one, you can do that, right? And so we talked about dragging multiple things to one slide. You can make all those things just be one action if you want to. So I can say new action, and I'm gonna say stacked training, right? And so we make this action. We're gonna say, okay, we need this action to start a certain show. We'll just pick one random, and then I can do add. And I'm making another action to go along with this same push button, and I want it to also clear my overlays. And I also wanted to do something else. I wanted to start a certain overlay, and I get to pick the overlay. I wanted to start my logo. So the Gary B. Jr. logo. And I also wanted to do something else. I wanted to change the output style. I wanted to change for specific outputs. So I'm gonna say I wanted to change specific outputs. So I wanted to make my live stream go to stream training. And I want my primary, I want it to go to default. All right. I can change my stage. I can say, hey, I want the stage to do, let's see here. That's just a separate output. That's not anything special. Oh, here we go. Yeah, that's just regular outputs. But I'm gonna keep that there. But I'm also do one. I'm gonna say add, and I wanted to change my stage layout. So I want to change because we're transitioning maybe from the worship team or transitioning to the worship team. So we're going to say change the stage output layout. So I wanted to go my stage output layout. I wanted to go to the worship stage, and I want the output to go to my stage view. And all of this is one action. All right. So I can close it now. It's called stacked action. And where'd it go? Stacked. It's in alphabetical order. Boom. Stack training. I can drag this one action to the beginning of a show. And that one action has like 5 different things that it does at once. And this is an advanced feature to me because the downside of it is you got to know that you've set all those different things to that one thing, because otherwise you might think, oh, it's not going to do what I need to do. I need to drag something else in there. So just keep note, but it's a very cool way to manage your actions by doing that. It says, Jill says, I think preachers don't use teleprompter. They know by heart their stuff. Well, sometimes if I'm doing like they're doing a video, sometimes I know I've worked with pastors and leaders that get nervous when they're recording a video, and I'll help them with a teleprompter idea or a note or something like that. It's been requested at times, and that's me as a videographer. I don't know what we use that for. We use that for, I think it was for their website, like a website video. So that's an idea, but not like you said during service. That would be different. This is not a, yeah, this is not the inauguration or something like that. This is, yeah, they preaching. They're bringing it, and the teleprompter is going to be the scriptures. Usually, is my hope is that's what they're going to be using to read from. Um, but yeah, so stacking your actual, I call it stacking them, but stacking your, I'm gonna go to edit this, your actions into one thing is a real cool way. So you can make all these different things start at the same time. And it's a multifaceted action. Okay. And so instead of it just being one thing that you use an action for and then add another action and do another one thing, if you know that's going to be what you needed to do, you need to do these 5 things, put all those 5 things in one action and boom, put it together and drag that one action onto your show. And that, my friends, is an advanced level of free show. We've talked about some intermediate stuff. We talked about some beginner stuff. We answered hopefully a lot of questions as well. And we got to review all the different things that we have that I released this week with the actions of your best friend and the gradient feature in free show. What questions do you guys have for me before I let you go? It's 12:41 my time. Anybody got any questions before I let you go? I love the thoughts. Jules, thank you for joining in. Great questions. Hopefully they can help you start to implement some of the stuff that you learned today or that we discussed that you like, the stuff that you like that you can use, because I know you're in the middle of that transition. That's a big shift coming from Keynote into Free Show. The thing I would recommend you do to get started is start seeing what you made in Free Show, in Keynote, I'm sorry, and then try to duplicate that style in Free Show by just going to your shows and just making some shows. Importing shows from Keynote is not going to always give you the results that you need because it's just not designed to interact that way because there's so many different variables and variations that go along with that. The best thing I would do is get your text and just copy your text in and then just make your background how you want. You can add in your transition styles and all that stuff all in Free Show as well. And then set up your stage view. I know you talked about you want to have that view to look and see first or the current slide and next slide. That's a stage view setup. You can do that pretty easily. Um, so Jules says, I think you should do a playlist on actions, all the actions. Yes, there are a lot of them. And in that video I just made, this hour-long video that came out this week, I did go through and talk. I spoke to each of them, I believe. I didn't show all of them just because that would take a lot of setup that it would be kind of, I say weird. It would be weird to me to set up everything to do something that I don't use or don't do, but they are pretty cool. Start with the ones that you know that are familiar to you. And ask some people in the community, post a message in the chats, in the comments, asking people, like I said, that's something that I know for me, I'm always curious. You can go to Reddit as well. There's a good Reddit community that I communicate in all the time, where people ask questions and they just say, hey, somebody asked recently, like, what are some actions that people use? So you can check that out as well. What are the most popular ones that people are using? I commented in there with the ones I use, but I'm not a traditional ministry church service that I'm using Free Show for currently, but I do help churches set it up. Okay. And so if you need some more help with it, let me know. Um, oh, Brian says, when I asked you, he was talking about hotkeys. For sure. For sure. So that's another part of actions. So you can literally set your actions. So this clear overlays, I can right click and edit it. Excuse me. And I can activate it by a key press. So I can assign a shortcut and I can say it's overlay. So I'm gonna make it be an O. So you can make that be an O. Now, the thing about it is you can't make it be like a multi-key press. I don't think. Let me make sure. Look, assign a shortcut. So if I say Command O, it did something funky. And I don't know what it did actually. Let's see here. So it did something. I'm not sure what I got going on. Let's see. I'm gonna close this. Okay. So yeah, you can only do a letter, one letter, a number maybe at a time. So I can do 6. No. Press yeah, it's got to be a letter, so I can do P or O or something like that. But yes, you can make hotkeys for your actions. going into your settings, check this out. This is another hotkey option. So in general, if you go to manage groups, you can make hotkeys as well for lyrics, like song lyric shows. You can make a hotkey to jump straight to the verse, to the tag, the pre-chorus, outro, and so forth. And I've got some here that I made. If when you press those, when you got an actual show that has verses in it, you hit V, it'll take you to the verse one. It'll skip whatever's in the pre-chorus or whatever, whatever's in the beginning. It'll skip right to the verse, and then it'll hit it again. It'll go to the next verse. So it's a way to skip around really easily. Same way for the outro, the bridge, the chorus. You can set those up as well. Same way, you click it and it'll let you press any letter key, okay, to assign it. Great question. Great question. So hotkeys are definitely available to be used in FreeShow. And I would say they're available to be used for your actions and your groups. I don't know if there were a lot of other ways. Let's see. Manage groups, play slides. So this one's cool. You can play your slides with number keys. So you can do that, and you can like jump to a slide based on the number it is. So you want to jump to slide 6, you can just press number 6, for example. And that's just in the general settings here as well. Auto shortcut to first letter in the text. That's an interesting auto shortcut to first letter in text. And this is about slides, right? So if you want to jump to a slide and the first word in there is 4, or first word is there, so you can press F and it'll take you to that particular slide if you turn that on. That one can get a little wonky. I mean, you got to be really clear about what you're doing with that one, but that would be an option as well. I think the number keys is really cool, but I like the jumping through the chorus even better. The number keys is nice if you just got a slideshow that's not lyrics, because I would just, but and even that, you can assign certain parts of your presentation to have lyrics. I mean, you can just go here. I can make this be a certain group. So I got groups right now, and I can right click on this and I can say change the group. So I can make this slide be a part of the break. And now you see it's a break slide. Okay. And everything here after it goes to the break. And I would go to another slide and change the group and make it be the outro, right? You can just go through your slides and do that. And you can organize them based on these. And then you have your shortcuts to jump to them, and they're color coded. And, it makes it easy to do some stuff like that. Let's see here. Jules, you know your stuff. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Jules. That's really cool. Thanks for joining us again. And thanks to all of you guys that got to jump in. Do me a favor. Please share what you've learned with your team at your ministry, or, your media team, your production team, whatever it is, and let them know about this channel. I don't do a lot of asking for people to subscribe because I don't really subscribe to a lot of YouTube channels, but I say that because I want this group to really be concentrated of people that actually do want to hear about FreeShow, because that's all I'm doing right now. If I do something else, I'll probably start a whole nother channel to talk about video editing and stuff like that. But share this information with somebody, right? Share it on your YouTube, your YouTube, I guess. Yeah, you could, but on Facebook or Instagram, whatever it is that you do. I don't really use those platforms too much. So I rely on you guys to really help get the word out. But there's a lot of different communities out there and platforms that already are using FreeShow and talking about it. If you see something that I've created that will help that community, feel free to interject it. And then the next thing is, if you do like it, like it. Okay. That's something that's good for me to know, because for me, I'm always thinking about what is going to be the best content that's going to help equip and empower people. And now, if you've done those two and you're still sticking around and you've watched one or two, you watched more than 2 videos, then I would say consider subscribing, and you'll just be able to be on the list of people that subscribed. In a sense, I don't really have anything going on. If you want to support the channel, subscribing is one way. I think if you get over 1,000 subscribers, you'll get monetized potentially. I don't know what that looks like because I'm not monetized. But if you want to help too with the support this, you can hit the little, I don't know what it is, a money sign, the dollar sign down there. And I think it'll let you do what they call like a super chat. You can contribute that way. I haven't made any extra features for it in YouTube. I think the community that we're part of, I'm not that bent on trying to charge for everything in terms of making sure you guys pay me for what I'm doing, as much as I want to help support the community as best I can. But if you feel so inclined to do so, feel free to go to my website. I got a lot of stuff you can download for free, and I got some stuff you can pay for. If it's something that you really think is going to be beneficial for you, by all means, feel free to pay for it. But like I said, I'm gonna do the best I can to really make content that's gonna be helpful for a long-term solution for anybody that jumps into free show, because people are just starting to use it every day. They got over 2 million downloads. I don't work for free show, but I do work as a part of the community. Do my part just as much as you guys are doing your part to use it, to adapt it, to integrate it into your services. That is exciting because I do think free show is a benefit to any ministry. Whether you're in America, you're in Africa, Australia, Europe, wherever you are, I think free show is a benefit to your ministry just because it's so robust. You really don't lack anything when you download free show and you start using it. You only can gain. Okay. And I don't care what platform you're coming from. Even if you're coming from ProPresenter, you're gaining some money in the budget, right? Because it can do almost everything ProPresenter can do, if not everything, as far as I know. It just does it different, right? There's different ways to go about it, but it can do much more than any program I've ever used, like OpenLP or PowerPoint, Keynote. It can do that and then some. And so it's only a win, but most people don't know about it. That's why I say first thing I would ask you to do is share this content, let people know about it, right? And hopefully, we can get this to where it is the standard, right? That's my goal. I want to see free show be the standard, not just in churches, but also for production companies and doing events and stuff like that. That's what I'm looking forward to using it for podcasting, TV show production and stuff like that. Um, Stacked actions. Somebody said, oh, Cibusiso says stacked actions are very interesting. They are. They are. Like I said, you just got to know what you stacked. What you stacked in that action is going to dictate what it's going to do. But you can make it do a bunch of different stuff. Boom, one click. That's what I like about Companion, because what Companion does is the exact same thing, but it's stacked actions from different platforms, right? From OBS, Free Show, my ATEM switcher. Even I can put a button in there that does two or three different things in each of those programs in one click, right? Stacked actions are similar in that way, but they're reduced to just using what you got in free show. All right. All right, you all. Thank you again for your time. It's getting close to 1 o'clock here. I got to go eat something, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Hopefully you get the chance to try out some of this stuff. Send me a message, a comment, something like that, of how your service goes this weekend based on something that you may have learned from any of these Free Show Fridays or any of the videos we made. I'd love to hear it. I got an email list. Anybody that signed up for any of my content on my website, the free stuff, the downloads and all that stuff, I try to send out at least 1 or 2 emails a week to just empower you, but also to share testimonies of other people. And we'll look forward to do